Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. All right, if you're with me, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Um, Hold on. Let me get an adjustment here. Got it. All right, before I begin this part two of this investigation, standing up, I'm going to take a moment of silence because I was going to do this at 1 o'clock today. I will do it part three at 1 o'clock tomorrow. So first, let me give a quick shout out to everybody, and then I'm going to go into a 1 or 2 minute moment of silence for all the lives that we lost today, whether it's from Italy, Iran, Iraq, Germany, here in the United States. So let me just give a shout out real quick. First off, let me say hello to anybody watching on Twitch, on my Twitch channel. That's HJDad43. I appreciate it. Thank you for the comments from yesterday. If you caught this, and we went into discover why they were able or allowed to poison the water in Detroit. I just got to keep going here. So, to my overseas followers and watchers, again, I know it's super early for you guys in the morning, so it's awesome for you guys to be with me. I thank you. That's everybody watching on Nemo TV. Thank you very much. On Mob Crush, so thank you. Smashcast, Vaughn Live. So we've had some viewers there. Thank you if you're there. Put it in the chat. I appreciate it 100%. Thank you, because this is not easy to talk about. This isn't easy to deal with, and no one expected the world to be the way it is today. So I have to say that. And then of course here in the United States, anybody that's with me on Facebook, and then of course my YouTube channel, which is Harry Jackson on YouTube. Just look for my ugly mug and you're watching, so you're on. So I thank you very much for hanging out with me. I was not going to do this late in the evening. I was going to do it at 1 o'clock this afternoon. And I really wanted to find out what the tally was for the lives that we lost today. So that's why I waited until now, 9 o'clock or 9:15 in the evening to find out what that was. And we're going to jump right into this. And before we do, I'm going to give it a 2-minute moment of silence for, we had more than 600 and change, more than 600 people in Italy pass away today. It got to the point that they stopped counting. That's how much stress the nurses and the doctors and the staff have been going through. And you have to know, here in the States, it's coming to us. There's just no way to hide that. This is not about fear mongering or, any kind of type of freaking conspiracy when they conspired against you. So don't even go there. So I'm not for sure what the numbers are everywhere else. It's just 600 and some odd people in one day. And before that, they lost 400 and something. And before that, the day before, they lost 300 and something. And 300 and something the day before that. So 4 days, almost 1,200 people. So I'm going to take 2 minutes of time. Right now, it is 9:19 Eastern Standard Time in New York. And the 2 minutes begin now. If you're with me and you're going to stay with me, I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much, because you're going to find out something you've never seen or heard before today. And it's only because of the books that we found that had this information in it the entire time. So don't give me any shit. Look it up for yourself if you want. I'm sorry for swearing. I'm going to try my best not to do that. 2 minutes. Moment of silence right now. All right, I did it for 1 minute instead of 2 minutes. It was 9:20 on March 20th, 2020. It's crazy. It's crazy. So if you caught the previous video or live stream, I'm glad that you were with me. I appreciate the thumbs ups, downs. I don't really care, believe it or not, because no one has answers to what we're about to go through here in the States, but we're seeing it in the other countries. And I understand. No one really wants to take the blame because, and I'm talking about having the coronavirus test available. No one really wants to take the blame on why we didn't have it because I don't think they took it as serious as they really would have liked to. And what I mean by that is even with let's see, what's the other one? The Ebola. We didn't really have a cure for that. We didn't have a cure for that here in the States. We just didn't want anybody coming over. And of course, they didn't call that the African virus. They didn't call it that, but that's what they wanted to. In fact, some did start calling it something along those lines. That's why they kept those people out. If you remember, just go back in the news articles. Just go back. So for anybody to call it a Chinese virus or whatever, call it what you want. You got to understand. We forget Wuhan had tons and tons and tons of laboratories and international doctors and PhDs, whatever you want to call them, in those labs working on things. So we can't just label this a Chinese virus or whatever you want to fucking call it. Bottom line, it's an entity. It's an uncontrollable entity, and it's riding the wave of a virus. Plain and simple. So they claim it came from a bat. I'm sure you heard the story. Claimed it came from a bat. Not sure if someone ate the bat because they bought it on the market, or if they were bitten by a bat. Like, they're not specific as to how the bat had it. Here's the biggest question. Why hasn't any other bat before that ever had it? So it's bullshit. 199.9% bullshit. And the reason why I can talk to you with confidence about this right now is because I found their bullshit. Whether anybody wants to admit to it or not, we're going to go back to a book that actually started in 1517, but it gets its credit from the 1800s. They had it in the 1500s. They used it throughout the 1500s. They used it throughout the 1600s. They used it throughout the 1700s. And who did they get this from? Why haven't all of us been taught these things if 100% of all of our religions came from it? And why are they so quiet about what happened to a guy by the name of Hiawatha? And he's in their Cosmon Bible, their OSV, the book that was written through astrological writing in 1517. Why do all roads point back to this particular God of gods or King of kings? But yet we have all these other titles out there, from Alexander the Great to the Lion of Judah to Genghis Khan to Prester John in the Arthurian studies, and they're calling each and every one of them, including your Jesus Christ, as Lord of Lords, King of Kings. See, the saddest part about our so-called Bible that we grown up with, we had taught to us for years, or whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter which version, what language, what translation. From Dead Sea Scrolls, from the Essenes to, your King James Version. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The one message that they've had at the end of the book every time is that there was going to be what? An end. A resurrection. A Armageddon. A end of times. So we go right back to where the 12 disciples, or the picture behind me, that's pretty much what they are, asked their Jesus, so tell us, when will the sign of the end be, and when will the end be, and what will be the sign of your presence? Do you remember that? That's kind of how it went. And of course, there Jesus steps up and says, well, you're going to hear of reports of wars and earthquakes and pestilence and this and that. And I've always asked this question. They asked about when the end would be, but never once asked, who put the pyramids there, Jesus? Well, they didn't get a chance to go around the world and search. Bullshit. You said that Jesus and his father Joseph and his mother Mary escaped to Egypt when King Herod was looking to kill him during his mother's pregnancy. Is that not what it says in the Bible, in their book? Does it not say that? So if they traveled to Egypt, what's the first thing little Joseph and Mary would have seen standing out of the freaking sand with a bunch of Egyptians floating around? The pyramids. So Jesus is born 2 years later. At the age of 12, he decides to sit around with who? The rabbis and, the priests. And he was accidentally left behind by his parents, right? But the OSV book says something completely different. They tell you that when a man turns 12 years old, it is no different than when an adult man leaves his parents and begins his own family. It's pretty much what it says. So they're telling you that consent was at 12 years old. Who else says that? The Talmud. They all know it. So where did the Talmud get their writings from? How about the Torah? I'm pulling these books out because all these things were jam-fested down my throat, at least, since the age of 2 years old. Until I turned 27 and I said, you know what? It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Because you want me to worship and serve a God that doesn't care about my race or my people? That's basically what you're saying. And then you got, Baptists and other Christians and other people trying to say, oh no, God loves everybody. He loves everybody. In fact, Jesus loves you. Everybody loves you. So if they love you so fucking much, how come they didn't stop the swords from cutting your throats? How come it didn't stop them from hanging you in nooses and making postcards out of them? So don't go there with the race thing. But let's get rid of the whole race card. Let's shove it to a side. See, because this is where I started my investigation for myself. Because it's about a family reunion. At least for me. Maybe not for you. But for me. And that's why in one of the other videos that I told you, I said our only escape tip from any of this crap, from any of it, no matter who you are, no matter what race you are, the only escape we've ever had is one thing. We never asked to be born. But because we respect life and we love life, then we at least should have been given a choice. And that choice is, you can rock with the way things are or the way that things could have been. Choose. That's what it should have been given to us, because at least based on our decision and what we learned from everything we were taught, inside here we get to determine, and inside here, the temple, we get to determine what's right and what's wrong and what we want to defend. They didn't give us that right. They didn't give us that right in science. They didn't give us that right in religion. Not all their religions, because all their religions came from the OSV. I proved that already. So let's not even go there. What we are doing is searching. We are in the library. This is a boring library club for this series. This is video number 2. Video number 3 will be tomorrow at 1 in the afternoon on Saturday. You're welcome to join me. You don't have to. You can look back at this and laugh, cry, do what you need to. Right now, we have an enemy. All of us in this entire world have an enemy that we are facing together. When you realize who allowed that enemy to attack, you will get down on one knee and ask why. Why? So again, I want to thank everybody that's hanging with me tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm not sure how long I'm going to stream this. The issue I have is sometimes when you're studying, time goes by like nothing. It goes by fast. And the craziest part is for us right now is that we happen to have a little bit more time on our hands all of a sudden out of nowhere. Everything's changed. Everything that used to make things go has slowly began to start to come to a stop. Like that alone was never possible. It just didn't make any sense. They never told you that in the Bible. They never said when things Jesus never said, listen, you're gonna hear reports of wars, you're gonna hear this, your money's gonna be gone, they're gonna keep you in your homes, you didn't hear that. So stop bullshitting. Stop bullshitting. Stop bullshit. We have Joseph and Mary going to Egypt when they're pregnant with little Jesus, right? This is the story. What was Joseph's real name? There is no letter J 500 years ago. That was written way back further than 500 years ago, right? So what was it? Yosef, spelled with a Y, because the Jews will step up and say, yeah, it was a J or it was a Y or an I. They're all replaceable. What's in a name? Everything is in a name. Ask those that live in Detroit. Little did they know that the Straits of Anian was a Detroit. As a definition, not a place. They just happened to place a city, Detroit, in Michigan, on the Anian. Oh, you didn't know the Anian was in your Bible? Genesis 9:27. Look it up. Look it up. Very interesting because it's talking about Canaan. Why the fuck would it be talking about Canaan? But then when you do the math, you realize that was the Jordan. There was no letter J for Jordan, so what was their name that they were calling it? The definition of Jordan just means waterway. So the so-called Moses and his people crossed the so-called Jordan, or the Strait of Anian. Which way did they go? Did they go from one side to the other, or from that side to the other? See, it's very important. Because if they were on the run, then where were they running from? We say Egypt, where it's at right now, but that makes no sense because they're claiming that it was in, what? Middle East, right? Middle East. Look, if you have the power to change time, place, and space to place yourself into history, then you control history. If you have the ability to hire and train and then release people to repaint, to reform, then you control history. Why so much control on history? What did they need to have control of history for? So don't give me this shit about no one really knows where this thing came from. It's just a surprise. It's a fucking surprise. We don't know what's going on. See, when you're in the game of life, not everybody can win. Not everybody can win. But before the game of life started, everybody was winning. Why? Because no one was dying. So when did we start dying? I'm talking as people in general in this land. Any land. When did we start dying? When we what? Supposedly inherited sin in the garden, right? So why the fuck would the OSB not hide who Adam really was? You would think, no, we don't need people in Christian life and Hindu and Muslims and all of them to understand who Adam really was. So let's just change that name. No, they didn't change the name. They sold you on the name. The book tells you who their Adam was. But they don't show you who the Eve was. But then you got to ask yourself another question. Why is it that the OSV says Apollo, son of Jehovah, Thor, son of Jehovah, Thoth, son of Jehovah, Apollo, son of Jehovah, Jesus, son of Jehovah? Where's Jesus in the writing? In the same book. But you shoved Jesus down people's throats with a sword and said, accept him or we kill you. You die. Ride or die. That's basically where DMX got it from. Ride or die, bitch. And then have the nerve to kill the people and ask them as you're killing them, where's your God now? Where's your power now? See, I don't have any fear when I talk to you guys about this, because you got to remember, number one, I'm garbage. So let's ride with that. Number two, I'm copper skin. So, my people don't have any real history. So we're out. Yet we've been in prison the whole time. In fact, more of us have been in prison more than you think. And I'm not talking about behind iron bars. Yet we live in a time period in their age system called iron mixed with clay. Now, the reason I talk like I just did throughout that entire couple minutes, almost 10, 12 minutes just now, is because if you've seen any of the other videos I've done thus far, I went after all the things I just said. And that's not even part of the search. It's just the things that we found out while we were searching. So if you're with me, I'd like for you to just think about that for a little bit. I know we have a threat that has no face right now. And I know that this country that we all live in today is about to suffer one of the most devastating times of its history. Why? Because we've already spread this disease way more than you'll ever know. It's been here. The problem is, if you don't feel the symptoms, then you don't think you're sick. That's why they don't want you to test healthy people. They want you to have the symptoms. Because if healthy people are showing positive signs of the coronavirus, but they don't have the symptoms yet, they're a carrier. Well, how many carriers in the world have we had with this whole thing? Does China know? No! Because one thing we forgot about with this story of a so-called bat having the coronavirus is how long was it in the city? How long was it going around before there was the first illness? And when that first illness got out of hand, where the guy or a person finally made it to the hospital, and they said, "Dude, you got a flu, man. This is crazy." And then, how fast did he fall off from the first symptom all the way to passing away? How short was that time? Because ironically, Italy lost 600 and some odd people yesterday, 400 and some odd people the day before, 300 and some odd people the day before that, and 300 and so odd people before that. Were 1,200 of them in the hospital at the same time before they started passing away? No. So is this really all the beginning of the end? Is it the end and we're just zombies waiting to accept our fate? They're saying that the majority of people will not get the symptoms, will not pass away. There's over 7 billion people in the world. We have confirmed 200 and something thousand cases, and we've lost 13,000 people. 13,000 out of 7 billion is very, very, very small. 200 and something thousand confirmed cases out of 7 billion people is very, very, very small. Until one of those victims was your family member. Then the numbers don't matter. They just don't matter. So let's stop looking at this as 13,000 people passing away and, oh, we don't have nothing to worry about because there's 7 billion of us. Let's stop acting as if, oh, well, the side effects aren't going to be too bad because, it's only going to affect the older ones. Let's look at this the way it should have been looked at from the second we found out it was what it was. Let's start looking at this like it's the thief in the night that they also told you about in the Bible. So in this particular live stream, and I don't care if I hurt your feelings, I apologize. That's not my intentions. I care about knowledge. That's all I want. I just want, because if we climb into this rabbit hole and we look around and we see things we really haven't seen before, we're like, oh man, that's cool. So we gotta grab that. And whoa, what's that? Okay, we gotta put that, and then, oh my goodness, are you serious? We'll grab that, put it together, and look to see those pieces together for what they are. It's almost like you walking around in a museum. I've only gone to one museum in my entire life. I'd love to go to so many more because these are hidden treasures. But to look around and see these things and be like, oh my God, look at that. That's awesome. And then you go to rip out your phone, like, you can't use your phone, sorry. They could do that. Could. See, because one of the museums I'd love to go to is right underneath it, the Vatican. How about in the private sections of the Smithsonian's? Now I'm talking about if you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that's at the top of the fucking mountain, you'll be able to see some things that normal people at the Smithsonian won't let you see. And the only reason why they have those levels is because they don't know. They don't have an answer. They can't get it to work, to activate. But then they got the nerve to tell you that, as my wife told me earlier today, that there's a blood type out there, supposedly, they just said this today, that might be immune to the coronavirus. They just don't know. They just don't know. See, we've made it so far in life now that with all of our worshiping and serving, praise the Lord, do whatever the hell you want, we lost the ability to control life. Now it's easier for us to manage death. You can't get any more unhuman than that. When there's more ways to die than there are to live, you've lost the ability to be human. So why did they want us to lose the ability to be human, or also call it being spiritual? Why did they want us so spiritual? I'm going to show you, and we're going to look at it together. We're going to see who the 4 horsemen or the 4 pillars really are. And then you're going to have to ask yourself, if it's true, why didn't we know this or see this when they forced religions down our throats? Well, Harry, why are you trying to bash religions? I mean, morally, doesn't it help you? Doesn't it? Look, dude, do yourself a favor. All right? Ask any person that supposedly have slave blood or were slaves in their family tree. what their religion was when they were slaves, before they became slaves. What was religion? Because if you break the word down, religion only meant one thing: religion. Religion. It's regrouping the chaos. Your legion of doom. Period. So I'm going to take a break for a minute here real quick. I appreciate all the views. Thank you very much, guys. Nemo TV, Mob Crush, thank you. Smash it, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm going to come back in about 4 minutes, and we're going to jump right in. When I mean right in, we're going to go right to the source. We're going to look at it together. Every time I show you something, I beg you to go look it up yourself. Go read word for word what we just read. Piece together what we just did. Because this isn't about me trying to conspire against the world. Are you fucking stupid? When they conspired against my people to the point that we don't have a fucking heritage. So shut the fuck up. We've been trying to stop death. There's no way possible if you don't care. It's time to care. It's time to stand up, man. I don't know how bad it's going to be, but I make a promise to you, okay? I'm going to make you a promise. You ready? 99.9% of the problems that you really have, that you've had in your families, from illnesses to breakups to families not being as close as they should be, to all that came from the gods they forced down your fucking throat. Period. Period. Because I gotta show you what they're all about. Then you'll shut the fuck up. All right, I know my background music's a little crazy because it's any other song you play on YouTube or you stream live, they have a tendency to just copyright it, strike it, copyright strike. Even if the music is coming from someone else's channel and you put that link in your video, copyright. So I get you, I get you, I get you, YouTube. I get it, I get it. No problem, no problem. See, in life, I don't even really know how to start this because I have no script. I have nothing. I just have windows that we found. I know we have the Freedom of Information Act, and because of that, you can look at old documents that were, everything to do with the government, this and that. That's fine. That's fine. We're talking about books that more than likely could have been burned because there were so many copies of these. But these books have been found in libraries, college libraries. So we're going to go to one. It's in Yale University. We also have what? Skull and Bones from Yale, right? I'm going to tell you a quick funny story real quick, and then we're going to jump into it. And again, I appreciate you guys being with me. I thank you. And if you get a chance to review this, review it. Put any comment you want. I don't care because I love responding to comments, no matter how corny, how sincere. Because if we all realize what we've been under this entire time, it's almost like a spell. You have the Gospels, right? But the Gospels are the God spells. It's just what they've been. It's just what they've been. Why do we ironically only have 4 Gospels? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? Clever. Clever. See, this is why you got to understand this was bigger than man himself, because if they were using the assistance of these so-called gods, then the gods were smart enough to show them how to do it. All they did was just do it. Like the Nike symbol, just do it. Do as thou wilt. Remember? Is the law? Yeah. Aleister Crowley, right? In the last video I showed you, we would not even have found the Andean without going through what Aleister Crowley said. Are you freaking kidding me? So for this world not to be in the devil's hand, if you want to call it that, or in Jesus' hands, he's got the whole world in his hand. So if it's in his hands, how the fuck is he not mentioned in his own God's book? Again, I apologize for swearing. I'm gonna calm down. I apologize. In fact, this I'm gonna show you this. I'm an adult, so hopefully you got nothing but 18-year-olds watching this, and 18 or not. But this is whiskey from Canada. This has been aged 3 years. It's called Black Velvet. So I spike my coffee with it when I'm in the library because you gotta have an open mind. You gotta act like you're watching from someplace else and looking at the world a little differently instead of being human. So the picture that I showed earlier with the Dragon Ball Z Kai the Kais in the background. If you could count those out, there's 12 of them, right? Dragon Ball, whoever created that, they knew what the fuck they were doing. They knew what they had. No different than the guy that did Pokemon. They know what they were talking about. Look at the different movies from the Avengers. You know, think about it. Our Bible tells us that supposedly Yahweh or Jehovah or whoever the God is claims that vengeance is mine, right? Well, why would he need vengeance if he created everything perfect? What are you avenging? What are you vengeance against? Oh, all the other gods. You know, these people were worshiping all the other gods. Bitch, don't you know enough about the other gods that you could have disposed of them yourself? Did I just call Yahweh a bitch? Did I just say that accidentally? See, I'm not trying to piss anybody off out there, so I apologize, okay? But I was raised a Jehovah Witness. We had his name with us the entire time. In fact, they even claimed, you are my witnesses, Jehovah's Witnesses. That's how they got the name, right? Not knowing that C.T. Russell, Judge Rutherford, all these old cats that started that whole fucking thing knew what book and knew what channeling they were doing and had permission to do it so that their actions wouldn't be in vain. Not taking the name in vain. Everything's in a name. I have a slave name. My last name is Jackson. We got Washington Smiths. Come on. You know, come on. Let's go. Come on. So is that a blood name or a race name? All right, so I'm gonna keep that shit on the back burner, as I said before. Um, we are just hunting. That's all we're doing. It doesn't matter what race. Doesn't matter who you are, where you at. We're all dealing with death right now, so that's at least if we have to pass away, or there's a high chance of us passing away, or this is the end, or whatever the hell you want to try to call this shit. At least we have a better understanding of what we really were doing this entire time without knowing it. But yet, I thought we had free will. I thought we lived in the land of the free and the home of the brave, right? I thought we had Lady Liberty. Are you ready? So we are right now 1 hour into this. Are you ready? Let's buckle up. I hope you have a very good, nice glass of wine or your favorite beer or iced lemonade, iced tea, something that keeps you calm. A bowl of ice cream, I don't care, but something that keeps you calm. And I appreciate anybody over from LinkedIn that is with me tonight. I do appreciate you guys viewing some of my posts there. And, you know, I care about everybody. And maybe that's what my problem is, because I was raised to care about everybody, to turn the other cheek. Except for one freaking thing. The minute I start caring about my race and asking questions about who am I, all of a sudden they want you to shut the fuck up. It's not important. It's in the past. Bitch, if the past was not important, then there would have never been any end in the Bible. Period. So their revelation to John, as in Prester John? How about Daniel? Daniel, the L Daniel. Rocking in the lion's den, right? Oh, well, God's spirit was with him, so the lions did not attack him. Shut up, man. Shut up. You and I physically weren't there to see that. We're going by writings. If their ultimate goal was to have the whole world worshiping at least any form of these gods, and they win, then the reaper has reaped. So let's go on a journey. Are you ready? Did you bring your shovel? You got it ready? You ready to start scooping that hole, and we're gonna jump in. You ready? I did all the work. I scooped the hole out. It's clear. It's ready. It's ready for all of us. So let's take a sip. And again, I have some windows open, but I don't know where we're going until we get there. I did not know I was gonna find all that out about the Detroit until we did the video yesterday. Did not know. I'm an idiot. I'm garbage. So don't worry about me. All I'm trying to do is show you things. And then go to their core book. Because when we see what they've done with their core book and what they taught to the world, from Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, Christians, Jew, Muslim, everybody. So stop fighting among yourselves. The ones at the top of your religious orders know the truth. And if you don't think so, let's jump into the hole. Are you ready? Let's go. Let's go. We're going to jump. Let's start with a book that would cost you $99,000 to have just one copy of. And there's not that many copies of these left. But we right now are in Yale University. Right now, over our shoulder is a person with white gloves on. And when we're ready to turn the page, that person's going to take their hand and turn the page for you. You can't touch the book, okay? And inside this book, they've done some crazy things with some of the wordings so that you trip over them and hopefully just ignore it and keep reading. Now, tomorrow, 1:00 p.m., we're going to dive deep into this book because we're searching for an Indian by the name of Hiawatha. Hiawatha. Now, some of you might be shaking in your boots right now, especially if you're calling yourself Indian, because for you to be Indian, you're getting money from the government. Most of you on your plantations, your little lands within the land. I didn't do that. So I'm just going by what we know, okay? But ironically, up here in New York State, as in the Onondagas, oh, we got something for you. Something that was found. Is it the tail? I don't know, because the ones that came over here conquering had tails. And they became the head. Yeah, that's pretty much prophetic, if you ask me, because, you know, it does say that in the Bible, but it's not literal as if someone really had tails, is it? America being the latest, let's follow along with the cursor here. Hold on. America being the latest and most accurate description of the New World, containing the original of the inhabitants and the remarkable voyages thither. Who was doing some voyaging here? If we go back in time, we go back to what? Marco Polo, right? Who knew that the Polo family were the ones that came up with the word millionaire? Didn't know that until you read in Marco Polo's writings. Oh, not that long ago. The conquest of the vast empires of Mexico and Peru and other large places. Oh, properties or whatever. So this is the book name. This is one of the longest book names in the history of book writing, and it's about America. You'll never believe who I found in this book. Now, on the surface, they told the world, oh, well, America was named after Vespucius. Yeah, they said that, right? But if you remove the capital A at the beginning of America and the little baby A at the end of America, you welcome yourself to the real world. With a word, Merrick. Merrick, Merc. You're going to find out tomorrow. It's that simple. But let's pretend we didn't hear that, because Vespasian is in the book too. I'm going to show you that tomorrow. All we're going to do is cross everything we've ever known out of our minds right now. Just we're going deeper into the hole. It's getting dark. Yes, we know it's getting dark down here. No one brought any extra lights with them. All we're going to do is just read, and I want to see if we can start this at the beginning paragraph here. This is some hard reading. All right. So I want to start here with Henry Brewer. This is on page 122 of the America being the latest and most accurate description of the New World. Just go to Google, type in America, put your colon in there, and then put in being the latest, and just hit enter. That's all you gotta do. And look for a PDF. Now, how long this is going to be available now that we've been digging into it, I don't think it's going to be available to you that much longer. But I downloaded it, I recorded it, the entire thing, so I have it in a separate file. So if they get rid of it, I still got it for a little while until they come knock on my front door and tell me to get rid of it. So, just being honest with you, because there's that much of my history in this book. Now, you sit there and say, Harry, what the fuck are you talking about? You don't know what you're talking about. Listen, there's a bunch of Indians in that book. You don't know what you're talking about. No. Let's correct ourselves. How much do you know about being Irish? How much do you know about being German? How much do you know about being Spanish? How much do you know about being Scabian? So do yourself a favor. Don't say a word. We're just reading. Okay? We're in a library. So, shh. And that's actually a goddess thing right there. Secret. I just showed you that in the last video. We found that out together. But for now, here we go. And let's start off with a quick big question. You ready? It's just so ironic, world, that we are reading in America being the greatest and latest and most accurate, whatever the fuck, in the 1600s. Yet in the 1900s, we have an explorer that goes through the Grand Canyon, runs into an Indian, and the Indian shows him a few caves, and they call it Brewer's Cave. And yet, this dude right here, his name is Henry Brewer. Brewer and his voyage. Right off the bat, people, we gotta ask ourselves, what brewer are we brewing? I mean, what really is starting to go on here? Go to Google. Go to Google and just type in Brewer's Cave. Hit search. Read what year he discovers it. The writings of the Indian that supposedly had it. And another guy you can find on YouTube that talks about the Indian connection he had to showing some of the things in Brewer's Cave. And of course, look at the artifacts that were found in Brewer's Cave. But it makes you also question one more thing. And this is all for my my Indian people out there. And when I say India, I'm saying from India. I'm talking about my Hindu people right now. See, like I said, when you're in the hole, when you're in the cave here, when you're in the rabbit hole, we're not fighting amongst ourselves. It's not about race. It's all about looking into the past and understanding discovery. What do we discover together? Okay? So, I'm talking to my Hindu people right now because a statue of Shiva was found in the Grand Canyon without the use of a crane to get it up in the damn thing. And we're trying to figure out how. Hold on. There's also swords that were in there and other artifacts. Why didn't we know about it? Back to Brewer's Cave. Brewer had found some bodies down there. He thinks it was a king and a queen. But what's the size of the bodies? 8, 9, 10 feet? 12 feet tall? And yet they were in that good condition when they discovered the bodies, huh? See, now you got to take a breath here, because if anybody's been in the military, you know you have to do this with everything you do. Whether you're hunting down something that the outside world's people aren't supposed to understand, or if you're actually fighting in a war and the things that happen in war. And the reason I talk to you like this, because you're debriefed before you're released from the military and you're back to civilian life, right? Is that how they term that for you? And you're paid, you know, you can find work, you keep yourself busy. Unless there's a war and they need you again or something along those lines. We know the story with that. We get it. But I understand this too. A high number of military people deal with a lot of anxiety, a lot of mental problems, because they've seen things and they can't say shit, right? So let's let this chapter of this book speak for you, okay? I'm on your side here, because there ain't no fighting in the tunnel. We're in the hole right now, okay? Take a sip. Here's a salute. I don't even know how pissed off I'm going to get just by reading this. I just was thumbing through this earlier today, and I said, what, Brewer? That name sounds familiar. But then we have Brewer's Cave, but this book was written in 1600 whatever. But that was... So, let's read together. Are we ready? And I know you see some of these open windows here. I know this is what happens when you research. You want to take a peek real quick? Let's take a peek. So, this picture was from this same book. Now, either our artists and our writers of this book were just trying to sell people on being entertained and wanting to come over here and check it out for themselves, or they wanted to show you the truth. See, and this isn't white on white crime here. No, this is, you got black bodies here laying over something. They got cloth on. They got all kinds of shit. Look at the skeletons and the bones. You guys can see this. Come on, you can see it. Look at this dude. Okay, you got guys up here. I'm sure you can see this, and if you need to, pause the video when we're done here and go back and look at it. You can see all this. Here's a huge mountain here. We see that, right? Take a look at this. Flowing hair. Look at the outline of the body. Upright position. Muscles just built, right? The craziest part? Look at the mouth. Just look at the mouth for me. Just look. They wanted to show you something. How ravenous, savage, tenacious these people were. Now, we know this guy isn't going to lay this dude down and say, okay, I'm getting ready to do some surgery here. Where's my scrapple? And no. Because this guy has a name. They're calling him what? Garmirs, right? I found this name from another name that was in the book. In this book. Now this states Gormirs, or however you pronounce it, devour man's flesh like, and look how they're spelling it, as tigers. And that's how you know this is very, very truthful. Because the older style English some of the words, when you go to spell them, you're like, oh my God, that's how they spelled that? Really? That's totally wrong. But it also told you back even then that the Y and the I and the J were all replaceable. You know it. These things devoured man's flesh like tigers. They're called los. Remember, Las and Los. We have Las Vegas, right? You got Los what? Barbados. You got all kinds of different Spanish names. So where would these guys come from? Spain and Portugal, huh? Well, who else came from Spain and Portugal when they were invading or searching to discover America? Columbus. You see where we're going? So Columbus didn't just show up and say, hey guys, we discovered America, let's eat. He didn't say, let's have our first Thanksgiving and accidentally kill all the Indians, even though they thought they were just coming for dinner when they were dinner. Like, it wasn't that either. Oh, you'll be amazed by what you see in this book. And Yale University had it the entire time. Like I said, sometimes truth, I didn't say this, but I'm starting to understand it. Sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. So if sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, then that also means that sometimes fact is mythology. What they called a myth was real legend. They just don't want you to go back to fairyland. Yet, their fairies were involved with all of it. Because the OSV book tells you who the fairies were. And the different levels of their so-called angels or spirit beings. That's why I showed you in yesterday's video, the very beginning video of the military men that were telling you what they saw. And they couldn't figure it out. So who's the angel of light? So if your true creator created beings, right? Created man, be perfect, Adam and Eve, whatever, then who created this? See, because there's another picture in this book around the 300 area. Can't remember what page, 386, 376. And it shows you a giant that they called Montezuma or something like that. And if you look at his belly, he's got the lion in his belly. And the way they did his body, it wasn't like he was a still image. But then you turn a couple more pages and they show you a giant person fighting a giant snake and some other animal and throwing bodies off the building. And then you see the cities. And then you're asking yourself, wait a minute, if they had cities like that, I thought they had tents and shit like that. And it's here in America. What are we doing? Tartary. It comes down to who the Cathay were. The Tartars. The Barbarians. The 10 tribes. If you understand who the 10 tribes are and who the other 12 tribes were, you'll understand it all. See, sometimes maybe not searching for your family tree is what you need to find. Maybe you need to find everybody else's family tree first. What do you guys have to hide? See, because if some of your family members from those trees were worshiping these gods and serving them in their secret shit, then we know who possessed the keys of the kingdom that opened up the gates. So when you're out announcing Jehovah's kingdom, Yeah, you've done that. It's called manifest destiny. And the crazy part about manifest destiny, as much pride as we used to have in it, is manifest sounds so crazily close to another word. Man infested. Infested man, manifest. Manifesto, Christos, anointed. The head became the tail became the head. Well, who's the tail in this picture? Nobody show you? Ready? Get ready. Who started out as the tail? You want to see it? You ready? There's the start of the tail. There's the new tail. The caste system has been around for the longest time, and weirdly enough, there's a lower class than the tail. See, this tail was the purple skinned black guy right now hanging out over in Africa. So to all my African brothers right now who used to be kings, we found some of your warriors. So when Ferdinand and all them were ruling over in Europe, we found some of your warriors. What were they warring with? Or who were they warring against? And listen, it wasn't this guy or these people. It was a group of people that were a little lighter than they were. Well, so many people say, well, wait a minute, all Africans are alike. That's why you guys are called African Americans. And people that are dark skinned, darker than you guys are Africans? Wait. No, because you guys came from Africa too. So you guys are African Americans only because you guys were born here. But wait, we have African kids now that are born here too. Are they called African Americans? Huh. And then you ask, well, why do dark skinned Africans hate African Americans so much? Or at least they used to. They're getting along good now. They're getting along a lot better. In fact, today they get along the greatest. More than they ever have. But why? I just wonder what happened. I don't. Did you ever check our blood? I'm sure you know. I'm sure you know the difference between our blood and the so-called dark-skinned African blood. So, whose blood was mixed with first? See, Columbus doesn't tell you about this dude. He's like, oh yeah, they were on the boat with us. I forgot we had 3 ships, and these guys were 9 feet tall. Not too important though, because they just wanted to check it out too. I mean, I guess. Look at the face again. And don't dare try to act, oh, those stripes on his face. Yeah, that's because he was part Indian. Get out of here. See, what you want is more proof of this dude, don't you? Well, we got you. We got you. The problem is when you're in the hole like we are right now, we're looking up and we kind of want to stay in this hole a little longer and keep looking around to see what we find. It gets really scary. Scary because someone's called the beast. But then we called someone the devil too, though, didn't we? Like there's Satan, but then weirdly enough, if you switch the words around, we got Santa for Christians' Christmas thing. So, but then if you take an N out of Satan and put an L in, you got Sultan. So hold on a second here. Let's piece some things together. Are we calling the world's sultans Satans? No. Remember, we all supposedly are trying to live here together, right? And right now we're all up against the wall, against the common foe right now, right? Is this coronavirus the second coming of the so-called Christos? I don't know. but we can find out. So let's dig a little deeper here, okay? Let's dig a little deeper. So this is called the grimiar. So I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. So let me see if I pulled it up. Did I ever pull it up? No, I didn't pull it up. Okay, well, hold on a second. Hold on a second, bro. Let's pull it up. So let's go back. Where were we? Right here? Yes. Okay. So just copy this. Now remember, I found this name, and this is what you could do for yourself. You know, don't be afraid to search words. But I found this name from Los Islios, and this name was in the book. So when I typed this, oh yeah, I already got it. Shit, we opened it up. So this name came up when I put it in the search engine. This picture came from the book. And you can tell even by the artistry, he was a pretty good artist, no matter who it was or group of people that they used. But why be so graphic? Why show us all that? Why is that important? Look at these bows and arrows. They're as big as the freaking people, but we don't know how tall these people are. We don't. Look at this dude laying down here. He just got jacked. So apparently, these Indians, or whatever you want to call these guys, are going in retreat, I guess. Look, they're running against these tall guys. And look, these guys ain't as dark. They're not as dark. He's not that dark. This is the back of another guy's head right here. But then he's pulling something. He's got some with legs on it. See the legs? One leg there, one leg there. He's got an animal of some sort. But this is definitely a human bone. And if you do any reading with this, it talks about the bone marrow. They ate even down to the bone marrow, these beasts. So, you know, you can go in here and check these maps out. You'll be amazed. But I don't have time for that tonight. I don't. You'll be amazed. And what you're going to see here is the Andean. You're going to see it. It cut right through where Alaska is today. It went right in between. Just, I don't want to talk about it, but you see it right here. John O.G.G is the one that did this. He's the author, 1600 to 1676. 100 years later, we celebrate the creation of the United States. Liberty. The Liberty Bell. So who won the war? So let's search. Here we go. We're not talking about the war. We're talking about this name. Let's just see what else we can see for this name. So we see that they were giants. Once you know what to put in, they love bragging about what they have. So you will find what you need. You will. So let's go through the giants. Let's just check this out. Ancient race of white giants described in native lands or legends. Remember, the legends are the true knowledge. We just don't know when they tell you native Indians or Indians or not, how dark they were. Are they part of today's Indians that are super light skinned? Test their blood. You'll be superiorly amazed of how they have the exact type blood. I'm talking from your Himalayan to your so-called Mohegan, your Mohawk. Check their blood. Just do it. Take a blood sample. Indians, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You guys have the land. You guys have the title. Just go take a blood test and leave it on record for the world to see. And you'll see how united your guys' blood type really is. So what are you afraid of? Are you afraid that it's gonna match up with the ones that we call Mongols? See, because Mongolian only meant great ones. That's what the definition of a Mongolian was. Great ones. So either you're afraid to be great, or you're happy where you're at right now, but you can't figure out why the world is dealing with a threat with no face, and you don't think it's supposed to matter. I'm not just talking to you today, the Indian. I'm talking about the Hindus. I'm talking about the Greeks. I'm talking about the Jews. I'm talking about all the races of the world, because we are all facing a common threat right now. And the scariest thing they're not truly telling us about the coronavirus is this: how long will it take for our bodies to be clear if we were infected? See, just because we simply fully recovered doesn't mean that the strands aren't still sitting in your lungs for part 2 or part 3. Or if you're carrying and you're a carrier now, and you could infect others even though you were given a good clear bill of health. We don't know. I'm just giving you a scenario. Because right now the scenario is we don't have an answer, and we might not be able to fix this for 18 months down the road. That's a long time for your dad to hurry up and climb up those stairs just to whoop your ass. It's a scary feeling. I know it. So let's see if we can just pull up an image on this Grimaras, I don't know. Now, look, some of these things are fake as fuck. You know this is freaking fake. How would they have removed all the dirt from around this salsa? Get out of here. That's bullshit. Get out of here. Now, this is definitely one to look into here, because ironically, you got the what? The so-called Devil's Tower in the background. So we're not really going to find a real image unless we go back here. See, now look at this. This is getting close, but I don't want to go there because it's too black and white, and it's got to be about a black thing, this and that. So what I'm going to do is, see, now why would this be close to that name, this dog? Come on, man, get out of here, get out of here. Okay, Giants of Monte Brama. See, now that might make a little more sense, but I'm going to give you another area to look. You ready? Go to any museum or type in Smithsonian and just ask yourself, are there any skulls with horns coming out of them? Because we know the Vikings used to wear helmets with horns coming out of them, right? But they forgot to tell you that, oh, hell yeah, there were tons of them. And it's built right in their skull. Were they the Vikings? See, because Viking just means via king. You got king and via in front of it, don't you? Don't you? Who held the keys of the kingdom? Keys. Kingdom. The key. K-I, dumb. The kingdom. K-I-I. Now you're talking. It's almost like your key with your body, like the aura. Well, it's in the OSP. There's a section called the keys, the K-I-I. Ironically, he talks a lot about T-N, T-N, T-E-I-N, T-E-I-N. I already gave you the connection of the Dragon Ball Z connection with the two-eyed and then a third-eyed guy here, and he's bald. His name is T-N. Weirdly ironic, isn't it? You got Krillin, who's a Buddhist monk who's also a fighter. See, was the Bible really created to take the fight out of a certain people? To have them Turn in the other cheek. You know, ironically, for these Indians to have these little so-called stories about the giants, it makes you wonder, is there a book floating around with the handwriting of the stories of the wars, the battles against those giants? Because you know what's crazy? Let's we're in the hole. Let's say a crazy thing so everybody in the hole can hear. You ready? We're all looking at this together, guys. I gotta tell you guys something really crazy. Ready? Here it comes. We don't know what's under our feet no matter where we live in the land. Yeah, they tell you bury the body 6 feet under. Did you know 10 to 12 feet under? You find a lot of history, don't you? Don't you, Maine? What'd you find in Maine? Hmm? What statue head did you find in Maine 10 feet under? And it just happened to have a Roman look to it. In Maine. You know, New England state, Maine, above New York. How about the gold coins you've been finding a little lower than that? Kind of closer to New York, but not New York. In New Hampshire. New Hampshire. Huh? Well, not a lot of people know about that, Harry. Well, check your YouTube. Wake up. How about some tablets that were found in Minnesota? Minnesota. Huh. But then they tell you that Brigham Young or John Smith or whoever they're saying found this old tablet and he was told where to go find it. Did he tell you where he was when he got the story? Astro Connection. You know, the Rainbow Connection. Remember Kermit the Frog? The Rainbow Connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Don't tell me you don't know what the Rainbow Connection is. Because you're supposed to find a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, right? So we had to move west to go search for gold, remember? They found way more than fucking gold, people. In the early 1900s, there wasn't a newspaper in the United States that wasn't writing about giant bones. Giant bones are found in the cave of. And then we have carbon 14 dating. The most amazing thing about carbon 14 dating is who created it. So don't give me the bullshit about, oh yeah, these bones go back to the such a BCE. When BCE has only ever meant before conquest era. CE, conquest era. AD, after defeat. And I read that in one of your little hit books, baby. One of your little hidden books. And you know what I'm talking about. And this is why I said if you have the power to change time, place, then you have way more power than just being all nice during the day and doing hidden shit whenever you want. That's not called a big boy club. That's called the Master's Crew. So, at the end of our conversation of this tomorrow, I'm going to show you what I feel in my heart with this photo, with this land. See, because we think we know what the red rocks, with the red rocks, oh, the sun did it, and. Did you ever for once, and if you're a big Bible person, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Did you ever for once wonder why they gave you all those measurements of what the holy city looked like in Revelation? You ever take a look at the measurements? So, ask yourself this question. Was the Tower of Babel that size? That dimension? Was that the Tower of Babel they were talking about in Revelation, even though it's the New Testament, even though the Old Testament claims that it happened way back in the Old Testament? Why do we have an Old Test and a New Test? We have a Savior in both books. Moses saves the people. King David saves the people. And then in the New Testament, we got Jesus saves the people. Paul saves the people. John in the book of Revelation tells you how we're all going to die. Or at least those against the kingdom. Yeah. So let's just look at one little thing and then we're done, okay? Because I did not expect to do this today. We're going to find out. For my own studies, for me, I'm searching something in particular because it deals with Hiawatha. It deals with Pocahontas. And they're showing you here Powhatan people. But we have a girl that went to Europe and died 2 years later. But she was a princess of a king from what they used to call, well, what we call today, Virginia. And their last names or their people sounded a lot like Pocahontas or Powhatan. But Powhatan is kind of connected to the whole thing with Hiawatha. But then in the Pacific Ocean, we have land called Hawaii. But then we have Saskatchewan in Canada, but then we have the Susquehannians in Pennsylvania, but yet we have somebody or a being known as a Sasquatch. So what are they not telling us? What kind of diseases? What kind of illnesses did this Wuhan beast come with? What's the side effects? He's part human. Did he mess around with some women? Because the Bible tells you, the sons of God. Well, if you're the God and some of these are your sons, yeah, they could mess around with humans because they're part human themselves. So where's the history of this thing? Because look at his mouth. You can tell the artist purposely showed you the cheek with the skin over the elongated mouth for a reason, to show you this guy was kind of beast-like because he's about to devour this cat. Where's that in our history books? But we found a name for it. We found that they're calling him the Los Islios. What does Islios sound like? Before I tell you, I'm going to save it for tomorrow. I'm kind of scared on some of this, but I'm not afraid like I told you before. Because I told you before in one of the other videos that we all thought Alexander the Great was this particular dude And if you put it in Google, you'll find them, right? But then when you type in the Lion of Judah, now you have to say the first, the Lion of Judah, then we get the biblical side of things, right? But when you put in Alexander and then put in quotes, the great Lion of Judah, a whole new world opens up. And it takes you right back to this book here, the OSP, written in 1517. And ironically, 3 years later, you have a gentleman writing some thesis called the 69 books or something like that. I can't remember what it's called. Lutheran. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the gold at the end of the rainbow right here, this book. I'm sorry. It is what it is. But to me, this is for everybody else. This isn't for me. For me, what the gold is this book here. America being the latest and most accurate description. So, I'm just going to read a little bit because we have those ones on the planet that call themselves Israel. I care about everybody, okay? But if you're holding a secret that the world needs to survive, especially a threat that has no face, that's taking people and don't give a rat's ass who you are, then I'm sorry, but we have to stand up, okay? We have to stand up now. We can't play games anymore, all right? So instead of reading this, I'm going to let you read it on your own and then leave a comment in this video if you want, or leave a comment on my channel. Somehow, do something. OSVstandardedition.com and then PDF. And go to the table of contents, because the table of contents gives you the short gives you the short trip to it. And look at this right here, right off the bat. Evolution of Israel language. Subsection. So they already tell us something right there. Evolution of Israel language right here. Now remember, the Israelites are supposed to be Hebrews that are God's people. So I ask all Israelites of the land, who and what about, because they're all God's people or Jehovah's people, right? In fact, Jehovah's Witnesses go around announcing Jehovah's kingdoms. So they're Israelites too, if you want to call them Israelites or Jews. They are. They're Jesuit Jews. I don't care what you call them. Let's find out together, because look, if we're saying Israelites are God's people, but you're a Baptist, are you Israelite? If you're a Protestant, are you Israelite? If you're Muslim, are you an Israelite? If you're Hindu, and you're with Buddha or the Kabbalah, are you Israelite? Because if you are, and you're God's people on the earth today, then why does Jehovah acknowledge you, but no longer, that's how we have to say this, no longer acknowledges Apollo and his people? Because Apollo's the son of Jehovah. Well, how about the Lord's third book? And we can read that, because Thor is also the son of Jehovah. Osiris, right here. All you got to do is click that, boom, and read it. Osiris, son of Jehovah. Fragpanti, if you see what that name really means, you will drop your drink that's keeping you comfortable right now. You'll drop it. All these sons of Jehovah. And yet, again, I tell you, that's the reason why the Israelites, or Jews of today, don't have Jesus as their Savior. But neither did any of these other sons of Jehovah either. So, we need to find out who their Jesus really is. Because remember, even the Mormon claims, well, you guys didn't rock with Jesus and didn't know if you were going to rock with Satan, so you guys got your skin changed. and you're slaves now. But yet there's two types of slaves all of a sudden? You fucking kidding me? So where are you people? Come on. And this is a respected educational book that goes back to the past. I only care about it because it might help me find my family tree. And when I say my family tree, I'm talking all copper skin people. And the only reason why I have to give a little bit of credence to the copper skin person is because the 1828 dictionary tells you who the copper skin people were, the Americans. And that was not the same person as their black man. Why not? Yet you have copper skinned people today walking hand in hand and side by side by so-called black people saying Black Lives Matter. See, it all comes together, people. We need to understand the lines that were drawn first before we decide to cross them and not care. See, for that black African or the purple skinned person, if you want to call it that, I hate to be derogatory and talk to him like that because I have a brother-in-law that's African and I love him dearly. I'm still getting to know him more. But he is one person that will admit that he didn't do any of the things that were done. So I can't blame him. There's no way I can have hatred in my heart for him. And I don't have hatred in my heart for anybody, but something was done. So we all should be sitting at the same table and talking about what they remember what was done. Because remember, it wasn't their so-called generation that did this to our people. But then other people did other shit too. Well, this isn't about that because every people right now is up against it, against a monster that has no face and is taking lives like it doesn't matter. And it's an entity. So if we really care about lives, then we'll stand up together and figure it out. Maybe the only way to stop this thing is just to stand up and verbally say, get the fuck off my property. I wish it was that easy. But this is a lot more serious than that. When is enough blood being sacrificed going to be enough? We've done it with war. We've done it with pestilence. We've done it with everything that they prophesied about. But I told you in yesterday's recording, I just came up with the phrase and said, look, it's so easy to prophesy when you're reading from the playbook. That's what the Bible is. But before the Bible was written in any language, this was written. And this was inspired astrologically, just like the so-called writers of the Bible. And even though we claim there's 66 books in that Bible, there's 66 in this too. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? We're back to that, people. We're back. So as we slowly climb out of this hole today, because I did not want to do this video, but I did anyway, I'm going to pick one spot right now. Ready? In fact, I'm going to do something. I was going to be done, but I'm going to take a small break. Because if I don't take my breaks and pace, then it's so easy to just get lost and be upset and pissed and don't want to. So I want to show you two quick things and then the thing. I'm going to take a small break. I'm going to come back and then we're going to read, okay? And then be done. You see this right here, the letter P. You see it, right? This says Historical Rites and Ceremonies section. We're in the OSP. There's Phoenici. What do you think that really says? Phoenix. The phoenix rising from the ashes. It's a ceremonial rite, a historical rite with ceremonies for helping the phoenix rise from the ashes. That's your Phoenicia. We get our Greeks from the Phoenicians. We get the gypsy from the so-called Greater Egypt. So what's Lesser Egypt? What was Pan back in the day? Because we have Japan right now. Did you know there was a word called Chiapanese for Japanese? Chiapanese. I wonder if the Japanese people today know that word. Chiapanese. Chiapan. And it's so close to China. 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 So where was Greater China and where's Lesser China? You ever ask yourself that question? The adepts. We know secret societies of the entire globe love to use the word adepts. And now you see there's a chamber of adepts. And just after that, you have the chamber of prophecy, which really means, okay, I'm going to give you a spirit now. Here's a spirit that's going to be with you. You had to do something before you were able to attain that spirit. You don't believe me? We have a phrase in this world that we think we know, but now it can't be real. Now we don't want to play around. It's called selling something. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I need to say. Because anytime you can play with a Ouija board and a spirit shows up, you found something, right? It's not real. Can't be real. No. Whatever, dude. Whatever. So let's read. Ready? And the book of cosmogony and prophecy. Remember that word cosme. It's on the stones of the pyramid. What do you think the animal-headed human body with wing-type dudes were doing? They show you the stars in the stocks, right in the rocks. They show you. Oh my God, come on. Look at it. We didn't even talk about the images. When you see the images, and all these are astrological images, which means something came into the person and they were drawing real quick and fast, and boom, they come up with an image. And the reason they do all that shaking shit and all that is because of the power of the being that goes into them. That's why even musicians today have a technique of they breathe before they do their magic. You never saw that? You didn't see that anytime, huh? They love wearing black too. That's why your boy Chris Cornell tried to sing to you in a song called it's called Black Days. He tells you he fell on black days. Remember, throughout the whole song, he talked about how good he was before. Now he's not that good anymore. He's not like that anymore. The baby he used to cradle, I put you down. Search my soul, they say. I can't see it in the light. He sings it to you. How would I know this would be my fate? He fell on black days. So, somehow, he started serving black gods. And this is what he is now. Yeah, he was singing it to you. It's just you didn't even sense what the hell he was talking about because you're not of the elected ones, right? So I'm going to play something for you real quick on this break. I'm going to leave it for you to figure it out, okay? Remember, there was a group called Styx. They have a song called Mr. Roboto. When I start this off at 1 o'clock tomorrow, if you've with me this far, like I said, the longer you're with me in these videos, the more information you get, because that's as deep as we are in the hole, okay? That's just how this works. So, and all this is coming from the top of my head, because this is how it has to be. I'm sorry. But tomorrow, I will show you what I mean in this video. But for now, I want you to go to YouTube, type in Mr. Roboto by Styx. That's the name of the group, Styx. Very popular group. They did a lot of popular songs. When you understand this song, you'll go back to some other songs like, damn, were they really saying that? Listen to what I'm telling you. A lot of military guys like that song. You know why? I'm going to find it for you. I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to play it, but I'm going to tell you what it does when you play it reversed. Why is it so important to hear or play things in reverse? Because remember, we communicate by language. Certain beasts out there, or angels out there, talk in reverse. It's not English. What do you think OSV is all about? It's about communication. I gotta type it in real quick. Mr. Roboto. Reverse. Yes, got it. Okay. So you have to type in Mr. Roboto reverse. Let's see. I know when I see it. So let's see if it comes up. Don't be playing, boy. Don't play. Okay, we found it. Okay, that's it. So we're going to use Nicolas. He's on YouTube. I'm not subscribed to him. He only has 10 subscribers. But he copied this from somebody else, of course. And you're going to be amazed. I don't want you to hear the whole thing backwards. I just want you to hear the very beginning of this backwards. Because the beginning of Mr. Roboto by Styx played backwards is what it says in the end of the video. Now I have to tell you something. At the beginning of Mr. Roboto played forward at regular speed with just them singing. Right at the very beginning, it tells you, it shows you, it's got a figure of Elvis standing there, and then he goes to point his hand just slightly, and as he's pointing, he's showing you the car wreck. We know about that happening, but we didn't believe it. We thought he died of what? An overdose, right? But forget about that. Forget about it. All the purple that you see in this video, it's going to amaze you. But look, as he's pointing, yes, he shows you a little bit of the car, but just above that car, Mr. Roboto's on a stage, and if you read what it says, Kilroy kills, right? At the end of Mr. Roboto, he goes to reveal himself, because he tells you he's the mandolin. He's the mandolin. The Malter Man or something like that, right? In this song. But at the end, it builds up. I'm Kilroy. He tells you, Kilroy. He said it 3 times. I'm Kilroy, right? Every military person knows the drawing for Kilroy, and they say, well, Kilroy was here. That's enough to make the majority of people that have went to war, most of you military men, say, yeah, I've seen that out there somewhere. Yeah, it's an old myth. It's an old Kilroy kills. Yeah, that's Kilroy. That's what that image is. That's the image of Kilroy. Why would Styx put it in Mr. Roboto? Who did they try to tell you Kilroy really was? Are you ready? We're going to see if you can hear it right now. I'm going to play it on my other laptop. I'm not going to edit anything. I'm just going to play it backwards. Remember, all you're looking for on YouTube is Mr. Roboto reverse, and you hit play. We're going to stop it after he says this name 3 times. I want you to be ready, because we're just going to play it. And I'm going to say what he says. Ready? Here we go. Get ready. Here we go. That could sound like anything, Harry. That could sound like shut up. Listen to it again. Oh yeah, he's in this book. He has another name. It's called Jehovah. But we say the four-letter tetragrammaton or tetragrammaton. We call him. You ready for it? Let's go back. Because his name is right here. And that's who Kilroy is. Let's hear it. They say Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh's here. That's what it says in reverse of Mr. Roboto. Yahweh is Jehovah. Let's hear them say it one last time and I'll end this. Ready? Here we go. So when we begin tomorrow at 1 o'clock, if you're with me, I'm going to show you their Lucifer color, show you the ship, and why Yahweh is being hunted. Because it kind of leads us right into Led Zeppelin again. Amazing. Look, the world is full of sadness right now. We are back to the furthest extent of what Babylon ever was outside of the physical abuse shit, which even South America is starting to show you that that's been going on for a while. We can't fear what we have to go up against. All we can beg for. If there really is a true creator out there, I mean, it's more than just begging to wanting to be in his favor. But you have to be kind of pissed off too. Because to me, and I'm garbage, but to me, if the true creator really is just sitting around watching this all happen, doesn't that make him sick? And isn't that what Lucifer really wanted you to see? Is he wants to try to paint the picture that the true creator is the evil one. So, if he's not watching, then what power oh my God. All right, listen, this video's done. I'm going to write down what I just thought in my mind. I'm going to start the video tomorrow with breaking down what we just said. Oh my goodness. They buried the power. It's let's hope there's not more lives that are lost tomorrow, which we know there probably more than likely will be, but that's I don't know. Let's try to fight this together, guys. Thank you for watching this. Appreciate it.